The education sector in Nigeria has had to face one of the most cumbersome challenges ever experienced. With the coming of the coronavirus, schools were ordered to shut down. It was a time of uncertainty and concern for many. Notwithstanding, parents were tasked with taking on the responsibility of engaging their children at home.
Schools are, by nature, a regulated environment. And this is where we are teaching children, and my emphasis is on children, those who are aged 17 and under, where we are teaching children obedience to authority, obedience to rules and regulations. So if schools were to open and put in place all the public health guidelines that we have asked them to put in place, access to water and sanitation, hygiene, space them out, make sure they wear masks, this is the best place to teach children what to do, and when they are old, they will not depart from it. Children, when they go to school, they are in a regulated environment. So when you tell them do this, do that, the tendency is that they are going to obey. And when they are taught to do that at that early age and is reinforced day after day, time after time, they go home, they continue that behavior. Then the other thing we have to realize, which is where UNICEF had a lot of concern, is that our children are being exposed to far more compromising situations than we can imagine. We have to remember, and this is that we are, there are fewer of us who are professionals and in the professional middle class. Many more of these children are coming from the lower socioeconomic strata that do not have access to remote and learning. So they must be in this regulated learning environment, A, to even keep them safe. B, for many of them, this is where they get a regulated school meal, and C, where they get structured learning that will keep them going for the rest of their lives. If you lose a significant part of a child's formative years in education, it's time that can never be regained. And this is something that we have to consider very strongly.
January 18th, 2021 marks the first official school day of the academic year, with quite a number of schools opening their gates to students and parents. As these educational facilities resume operations, the responsibility of ensuring compliance with COVID-19 safety measures lies on the management alongside full cooperation from the students. However, a civil society organization, Alliance on Surviving COVID-19 and Beyond, in collaboration with the FCT Union of Teachers, has advised schools in the nation's capital to observe safety protocols put in place as advised by the federal government.
On the announcement of the federal government for school reopening, went around schools, altogether 27 schools within the FCT, public schools, both the primary, junior secondary, and the senior secondary schools. Most of the schools visited, especially the secondary schools, have school committee on COVID-19. However, only the boarding schools have nurses as members of the COVID-19 committee, and few day senior secondary school, while others have no medical personnel. All the schools visited has no provision for a medical status form, which is to be completed by all the parents before a student resumes back to school. From what is observed, the school's sick bay are not well equipped. There is need for government to do more in terms of equipping the school health and committing to the school health programs in all the schools in the FCT. All the schools visited had in place communication with parents, and in case any student is noticed to be running temperature, the pupils or student is isolated and the parent contacted immediately.
As federal and private universities also prepare to resume duties following months of strike and a lockdown, some contemplate online learning in federal institutions, but the question remains: how feasible is online learning in universities whose staff union are highly underpaid or not paid at all? In all this, one thing remains constant: the need for school management to strictly follow safety measures.
The resumption of academic activities will be online, pending when the coast will be clear for the university to open its gates for students to come in. Even if all the protocols are on ground, the intensity of the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic may make it very difficult for the university to open its gates for students to come in. So what the university had done is to make arrangements to meet the university students wherever they may be all over the world by migrating online to ensure that academic activities continue.
The issue of schools resuming at this time is one laced with mixed feelings of safety protocols amidst the growing concerns of a new strain of COVID-19. How do we ensure the students, especially children, remain safe? Would students be required to periodically get tested? How does the school management ensure that all non-academic and academic staff remain safe within school environment and take precautions within their personal space? Do some federal universities have the capacity and proper structure for online learning? These are some of the questions that precede this decision to open up school facilities. Evelyn Akaka, Arise News.